Welcome back, True Seeker. A lot of people inquiring about the syringe attacks in France this weekend at a music festival. And to make a long story short, this is all about creating the culture of fear and prepping the minds for why people want to be part of the upcoming virtual reality known as Meta, which is set to launch in its full totality in 2030. Remember, in the future, rather than being out with people at a music festival, you can participate in virtual music festivals in Meta. And in a virtual music festival, nobody can creep up on you and prick you with a syringe. As it's being reported, happened in France, the home of the Jesuits, this weekend. And I'm going to show you just how ritualistic this was on the 172nd day of the year, the day the U.S. bombed with the B-2s with the 172-foot wingspan. You know what? Just to make a long story short, again, you learn gematria, you just see through all of it. Notice how syringe attacks in gematria equates to 172, just like the Jesuit motto in Merum de Gloriam equates to 172. Again, you get these values by just taking the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26. You add up the letters as numbers. That's how you get the values. This Saturday, when the music festival began, June 21st, that was the 172nd day of the year. Again, that's the date it was in the U.S. when Iran was bombed with the 172-foot wingspan B-2s. But yeah, just to read, French police have detained 12 suspects after the 145 people reported being pricked with syringes during the country's annual street music festival this weekend. Remember, the Jesuits from France served the Catholic Church. The word Catholic equates to 145, like there's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. Millions of people took to the streets across France on Saturday, that was June 21st, 172nd day of the year, evening for the Fête de la Musique, with authorities reporting unprecedented crowds in Paris. Again, the Jesuits were founded in Paris, August 15th, 1534. The feminist influencer Abrajozoa, warned online before the festival that calls had been made on social media for women to be targeted with syringes. It was not certain where such posts would have been made or by whom. The Interior Ministry said 145 victims across the country had reported being stabbed with needles during outdoor music events across the country. Paris police reported 13 cases in the capital. Don't forget the whole Cooties 19 thing had a lot of needles, and it was all Jesuit as well with the same numbers. Officials did not say if there were cases of so-called needle spiking with the date RAPE drugs, such as Rofinol or GHB, used by attackers to render victims confused or unconscious and vulnerable to sexual assault. Some victims were taken to hospitals for toxicological tests, the ministry said. In Paris, investigations were opened after 3 people, including a 15-year-old girl and the 18-year-old male. What's 15 plus 18? Is that 33, like France is the plus 33 international dialing code? Like how the Scottish Rite, with the highest degree of 33, came to power in France? Reported being stabbed in separate incidents across Paris, prosecutors said. All 3 reported feeling unwell. Across France, 12 suspects have been arrested, the Interior Ministry said. Among them were 4 people in the southwestern city of Angoulême. I don't know how to say these French words. Suspected of having targeted about 50 victims, a police source said. 2 men were also arrested in the center of the northeastern city of Metz on suspicion of syringe attacks. The regional public broadcaster France 3 reported that 1 man had been caught with a syringe and a woman who complained of being stabbed with one had recognized the other. The local prosecutor's office in Metz said the alleged victims were believed to be under 18. One of the alleged suspects, a man aged 20, was previously known to police for violence. The local public radio station IC France, reported that several young women had complained of being stabbed with syringes in Évreux and Rouen being in Normandy. 1 woman was taken to hospital with pains in her left arm where she believed a needle had been stuck into her. In the western city of Tours, 13 women complained to fire services on duty at a music event that someone had been pricked them with a syringe. How many typos are in this article? Probably also written by AI. The renewed fears of syringe attacks come as Paris prepares for its summer music festival season. There was a wave of reports in 2022 about alleged syringe attacks against women and men in clubs, bars, music events, and even theaters. The government put out messages at the time for people going out at night to be vigilant and advising them that they should go immediately to the police and also have a toxicology test if they thought they had been drugged by a syringe prick. Some complaints were made by women during the 2022 Fête de la Musique, and over the course of the year, several hundred complaints were made in cities including Nantes, Grenoble, and Toulouse. Agence France-Presse reported on a 2022 police memo stating that syringe marks were generally on the arms, buttocks, or back without victims seeing the alleged attacker. More than 370 people were detained during this weekend's nationwide music festival on various charges, including nearly 90 people in Paris. 14 participants in the festivities were seriously injured, including a 17-year-old hospitalized after being found sitting on the street with stab wounds to the lower abdomen. 13 members of law enforcement were also injured. Old 13, huh? Reminder of the Illuminati, founded with 13 families by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, May 1st, 1776, is for the American and French revolutions kicked off. But yeah, again, Saturday was the 172nd day of the year. These are being called the syringe attacks. And for anyone going, well, that's not the language in France, though. English isn't the official language of France. Well, what matters is in the 16th century, when the Jesuits implemented the calendar, they also standardized the English alphabet with its 26 letters and agreed to spellings, which have both spread across the world. The calendar system that the calendar system that says this event happened Saturday, June 21st, 2025. And again, English is the language that is taught worldwide. France is also taught, in the U.S., common language to learn is French or Spanish in high school. But it's not English. English taught worldwide. English all over road signs worldwide, even in non-speaking English nations. And as I've been showing for going on 12 years come this August, again, you learn this code. You see how the events that take place worldwide are encoded this way. And it is all part of an agenda. Again, it serves multi-purposes, but the people at the top love to use fear to push people into their agendas. And like I said, they're building a virtual world for us where we can be totally isolated from one another and live in virtual reality, and we'll all be a lot safer, is the way they're marketing it. But also realize as people become more isolated and more and more living behind screens and less human contact, it also enables this kind of weird stuff, right? People that have just lost all empathy for others, who go to a music festival and stab somebody, some stranger in the back with a syringe. I mean, absolutely horrific behavior. But then again, you have to ask, did it even happen? I mean, if it's reported in the news, it's already in the minds of the masses. I don't know if it did happen or not. The point is, the ritual is clear to see why this took place on June 21st. The 172nd day of the year. And again, that 172 and that 145, very Jesuit, very Catholic numbers, as we've talked about so many times. June 21st, 172nd day of the year. And here, just one more. Wingspan of B-2 bomber. Let's get that one too. Of B-2 bomber. Because this was the story that really stole the show on June 21st. Look at that. 172 feet. And that's why we stay with this silly system over here in the U.S. Forget the metric system. We need the encoded feet system. We'll leave it there for now. Until next time, Truth Seeker.